Britain and America's most feared and dangerous film reviewer is back, and this time I'm going to do something a little bit different than I usually do. Well, not Mr. Fox or Benny Cruz and comedy. No, actually, it's Two in there, which in its English title is Natural Born Killers. So I finally got to see a 35mm print of the theatrical rated R cut of Natural Born Killers at the Cinémathèque de Nice. It was certainly a privilege, and I got to spend €2 on it. It's a film that I certainly knew about for a long time, mainly because my father bought a copy of it and bought it from LAX or something all the way to the UK when the VHS release for that particular movie was still under legal limbo because they thought it might be a violation of the Video Recordings Act because of the violence. Effectively, they did release it ultimately on VHS in the UK, and they even released the uncensored cut that has a bit more bloodshed and gore and rape. It's a really nasty film, even if it's comparatively mild nowadays to films such as like Terrifier 2, which has been getting so many complaints lately that people have been vomiting because they say it was so violent. Or even for that matter, even some 15 films like Bullet Train and Turbo Kid and Deathgasm look comparatively mild to this. But the one difference that keeps Natural Born Killers different from the others is its hardline satirical leanings on the media and violence itself and its sensationalism and the characters in question, kind of like the characters from God Bless America or Bonnie and Clyde, are sadistic and thrive on the torture and suffering of others. And there's some sort of weird point behind it all that sometimes may get lost on the audience, but maybe appreciate or sometimes even appropriate in a way where it almost will inspire copycat murders and killings like Columbine, or when the boys killed their sibling, like on Child's Play 3, which they blamed the VHS for helping kids try to copycat and commit a murder simply because they saw Child's Play 3, which got an 18 certificate and was released on VHS. I think there was no cuts to it, compared to the other two films in question, which were 15 certificates with small trims. So, yeah, this is a very shocking film. It is also the first review I'm doing of a movie that's already been out since 1994. The same year that Pulp Fiction came out, which Tarantino's magnum opus, but he didn't direct this, he wrote it. Oliver Stone took all the directorial duties and took certain story and screenwriting privileges, which I think was probably for the best. Tarantino can get awfully talky and in his own head a bit on a few occasions. You know, Reservoir Dogs has its moments, that's very good, but sometimes it can be a bit taxing. Sometimes the more you show and sort of metaphorize, and the less sort of dialogue heavy, the more interesting it is. But I certainly had a good laugh. And this is certainly one of Tarantino's funniest films I have seen. Much funnier than Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, or the god-awful Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2, and Inglourious Basterds, which I really didn't care about. Pulp Fiction and Django Unchained, and on some level, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood are the only two films I really give a shit about that he did. So yeah, overall, it's a great movie, and if you haven't seen it, please do. The privilege to see it on the big screen for that cheap in the south of France, I don't think you can beat that. I'm doing what my father wished he could do, but he couldn't. So even though we've got problems, here's to you. Salute. Next time for Skinny Media, the review for Wendell and Wild. Stay tuned and subscribe for more content. Abonnez-vous.